They started digging around my house like I was some kind of fugitive. No joke. That's what I hollered when I first saw those giant backhoes carving an 8-foot trench, completely circling my land like I was about to star in my own personal Alcatraz. Picture it. The HOA president, Susan, out there with her smug little clipboard and a line of construction gear, acting like she had the law and half the town in her back pocket. Concrete barriers, flashing vests, even a couple of hired guards that looked like they should be guarding a Brinks truck, not some guy's workshop. That was the moment I realized just how far Susan was willing to go to steal my family's ranch. And let me tell you, she picked the wrong guy. I'll back up a second, just so you know who you're dealing with here. Name's Charles Martin, 42, grease under my nails since I was old enough to hold a wrench. I work as a mechanic downtown, but these 12 acres, this tired old house, my dad's workshop, they're everything to me. 3 generations, all their hopes and scars, dug deep in this dirt. Granddad bought the place back in the 50s when all you could see were empty fields and the sky. Dad built the shop with his own 2 hands, and now, I guess, it's my turn to fight for it. You ever wake up holding a tool your grandfather used, wondering if you're cut out for this kind of fight? Yeah, I get it. The place isn't much to look at if you're just driving by. Ranch house with more history than fresh paint. Workshop that smells like motor oil and stubbornness. Rolling hills that turn gold in the morning. But it's home. Now, things hadn't been right for a while. Couple break-ins, nothing major, but enough for my neighbor, Sam, retired county inspector, sharp as a tack, to tell me to start documenting everything. Insurance, permits, all that. Proof of everything, he'd say. I thought he meant burglars, but maybe the old man knew something I didn't. Then the letter landed in my mailbox. Heavy paper, official-looking, oozing that I'm important vibe. Susan Hernandez, attorney, HOA president, offering me $450,000 to buy me out. That number was so low it made my stomach hurt. I'm no real estate mogul, but I know when I'm being played for a sucker. Did some digging online, called around, and realized 12 acres here were worth at least double. I wasn't about to roll over, but I could tell this was just the opening volley. A couple nights later, my security camera picked up movement at the gate. Someone in black, dropping something in the mailbox. Turned out to be a bent surveyor's pin and a note. Check your boundaries carefully. You know that cold prickle you get when the world shifts sideways on you. That was me, standing out there in the dark, staring at a little piece of metal and 4 cryptic words. Next morning, Sam showed up, coffee in hand, studying that pin like it was a crime scene. "Charles," he said, face gone pale. "There's bigger trouble brewing here." Before he could finish, I got a text, anonymous number, photo of my house, timestamped at 3 a.m. Someone had been right outside my shop while I was sleeping. I felt exposed in a way I can't even explain, like the land itself was turning against me. Tuesday morning, county trucks rumbled up the drive. Out steps Susan, looking like she's about to launch a corporate takeover, trailed by a swarm of bureaucrats. She plays it friendly. "Just worried about community safety, Charles." But her people start picking over every inch of my property. Electrical, septic, easements, the whole 9 yards. By noon, they'd discovered enough violations to make my place look like a ticking time bomb. Odd, right? 50 years of no problems, and now suddenly I'm a menace. I try to call in some backup, sheriff's deputy shows up, body camera rolling. But Susan's got all the paperwork, signed and stamped, emergency permits, giving her the green light to condemn my property. The permits were signed, it turns out, just hours after I refused to sell. Pretty slick, until you start looking too close. Here's where the story gets a little twisted. I hired a lawyer, Michael Reeves, recommended by everyone and their dog. Guy seemed sharp, talked a good game about fighting HOAs and overturning bogus permits. Meanwhile, a local blogger, calls himself Truth Seeker Valley, reached out, promising to expose Susan's corruption. For a second, I thought I had a team. Yeah, well, that didn't last long. By Wednesday, Truth Seeker Valley drops a story painting me as the villain, some stubborn redneck endangering the neighborhood. My own attorney starts feeding Susan information. Turns out he's on her payroll. Betrayed from both sides, I went from isolated to radioactive. That stings more than I can say, folks. But here's the twist. Somebody else starts leaving notes in my mailbox, urging me to record everything, to document every violation, every conversation. I follow their advice. Install top-of-the-line cameras, motion sensors, audio, the works. Sam helps out, still in my corner. By Thursday night, the setup is tighter than a Vegas casino. Friday evening, things go nuclear. Heavy machinery lines up along my fence. Orange spray paint everywhere. Headlights sweeping the darkness like we're prepping for a lunar landing. By dawn, backhoes start digging. 3 giant trenches, military precision, circling my land. It's not flood prevention, not by a mile. They're isolating me, literally trapping me on my own property. You ever seen a grown man try to build a bridge out of 2x4s over an 8-foot trench, only to land in the mud while a construction crew laughs? Yeah, that happened. Utilities get cut, first the internet, then power, then water. I'm hauling buckets from Sam's, living like it's 1875. Susan, meanwhile, is telling the neighbors I'm running a drug operation. Half the community buys it, the other half, folks who remember my granddad, stand up for me. Online, it's a war, old-timers versus newcomers, truth versus official-looking lies. Saturday night, another message, don't panic. The truth comes out when you least expect it. Keep recording. Whoever's helping me knows the playbook. By Sunday, word's out, a meeting at the community center, everyone's invited, news crews rolling. Time to show my cards. Sam's got my back, but he's quieter than usual. Deputy Morgan returns, and this time he's not just taking notes. Turns out he's been quietly running his own investigation, gathering evidence, connecting the dots. Susan's emergency permits are forgeries, signed by a retired engineer who lives in Florida. The county never called for an emergency. Susan's company owes millions to private investors, desperate to secure my land as collateral before her whole scam collapses. At the meeting, Susan rolls in with her fake inspector, ready to seal the deal. She launches into her speech about safety and eminent domain, all practiced concern. That's when I stand up, plug in my laptop, and drop the motherload. Video of Susan moving boundary markers. Audio of her orchestrating the whole operation. Bank records showing HOA funds rerouted for her own gain. The crowd loses it. Even her most loyal cronies can't explain away what's on that screen. The best part? Sam stands up, flashes a badge. Turns out he's been working undercover for the Attorney General's office the whole time. He's got files, testimony, wire recordings, the works. Everything Susan did, every scam, every bribe, every phony document, it's all there. Morgan steps in, arrests Susan on the spot, handcuffs and all. Her fake inspector tries to slip out the back, but gets stopped by the very neighbors Susan tried to turn against me. In the aftermath, it all unravels. Her law license? Gone. Her real estate firm? Seized. The construction crew, turns out, kept perfect logs and timestamps. Evidence that locks up the rest of her network. Sam explains that my case was the one they needed to bust the whole thing wide open. Dozens of families, millions in stolen property, years of systematic fraud finally exposed. Justice, with interest. That week, as county crews filled in the trenches and news vans lined up outside my gate, the headline read, "Commercial rezoning approved. Values to skyrocket." Turns out my land, and the neighbors, was worth nearly $3 million, not the peanuts Susan offered. She knew. She'd used her legal connections to get ahead of the rezoning and tried to rob us blind before the news broke. We threw a barbecue on my newly restored land. Call it Charles's Freedom Festival. Neighbors, music, news cameras, the whole 9 yards. 1 year later, I got a letter from Susan, now sitting in federal prison, threatening, "This isn't over." Guess what, Susan? That's not fear you hear in my voice. It's laughter. So let me ask you, what would you do if someone tried to lock you in your own house and steal everything your family built? Would you fight back or roll over? Tell me in the comments. Where's the line between community and control, between law and outright theft? Like, share, and let's hear your take on what justice really means, because I guarantee, out here, the fight isn't over. Not by a long shot.